Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Elon Musk took to social media and said Chris Rock asked Elon Musk to open for him. Yeah, he thanked Chris Rock and said he would try not to flounder too much. Chris Rock has been playing in the UK alongside Dave Chappelle. Rock's been amping up the shots back at Will Smith. Rock addressed Will Smith's apology video and said, F your hostage video. Chortle had somebody at the shows and gave it a 4 out of 5 and said this mini comedians who were attacked on stage tour feels like something special. That's even before you add in a support bill that includes Earthquake, Ali Wong, the now London-based Aziz Ansari, and Jeff Ross as your MC. Back-to-back sets from the headliners, not even separated by an interval. Chris Rock did some material about being back on the dating scene after divorce. He said, I date women my own age, which means 10 to 15 years younger. Chortle writes, while Rock is declamatory, Chappelle is low-key and conversational with cigarette in hand and leaning forward on the monitor speakers. His cool baritone makes the vast arena seem as intimate as a local bar. Over the weekend, Dave Chappelle was at the Taylor Hawkins tribute concert. After Liam Gallagher performed Rock and Roll Star and Live Forever for the first music of the day, Dave Chappelle took to the stage to introduce the next act, but before he did so, he recalled an occasion on which he'd spent time with Hawkins and his son. Dave told Wembley Stadium, November 2020. I had the honor of hosting SNL with the musical guest Foo Fighters. It was a very special night. We had a very wonderful time, and after the show, me and the band were talking about what our favorite karaoke songs were. Mine was Creep by Radiohead. Dave Grohl called me and asked me to sing Creep with them at Madison Square Garden. I had smoked some reefer, so I agreed. Right before I went on, they said, Taylor Hawkins is going to sing one song and then you're up. And then Taylor sang Queen's Somebody to Love. Now, let me tell you something. I never get nervous to come on stage, but Taylor killed that stuff. I was terrified, and the walls of Madison Square Garden were shaking. And after the show, I went backstage and hung out with the Foo Fighters. And I met a kid who must have been 12 or 13 years old. He asked the kid if he skated because the kid was wearing skate shoes. And the kid said, I don't skateboard because I don't want to hurt my arms. Chappelle said, what kind of effing answer is that? A simple yes or no would have sufficed. The kid said, I want to be a drummer like my father. In that room in Madison Square Garden, even though I had met the Foo Fighters many nights, I felt like I met them for the first time. I've seen Taylor be a rock star many nights, but it was my first time seeing him be a dad, and what a cool effing dad. It was the first time that Dave Grohl and I ever even mentioned the name Kurt Cobain. It was the first time we even talked about our love of jazz and go-go music, and Taylor's son Sheng was soaking it all in. He sat there. He asked the best questions, not about fame, always about art. Dave said the group later went to New York jazz club The Blue Note and watched jazz musician Robert Glasper perform. Dave said, I listened to Taylor and his son and the whole show talk about the drummer. I remember Shane, Taylor's son, say to his father as he was listening, Dad, you can't do that stuff. I never heard someone talk to a rock star that way. And Taylor Hawkins, as humble as is, said, son, those are real musicians. Taylor Hawkins is a legend of a man. He's a legend of a musician, and he's a legend of a father. And Shane, I'm very proud because I saw you play for your father, and I'm happy to see you, and God bless you. Chappelle then introduced a group that played a cover of David Bowie's Let's Dance. Dave Chappelle did not win the Emmy for Outstanding Variety Special. Neither did Norm Macdonald. It went to Adele. Meanwhile, the George Carlin documentary did win the Emmy for Outstanding Documentary or Nonfiction Special. Kelly Carlin accepted it and said, I want to thank my parents, Brenda and George. A couple of things my dad would want to say to you tonight, one of which is remember to take care of each other and go F yourself. In a more serious moment, she said, taking care of a legacy is one of the weirdest things ever, but this group of people has helped us to do it in such an incredible way. I want to thank HBO for bringing my father back home where it all started. Everyone from the Academy who believed in my father and his heart and his dreams, and this amazing production team filled with geniuses. I'm so honored to be part of this. All right, Sam Morril. Did you watch his new special on Netflix? I did. I have it currently as the #1 special of the year. Along the way, all year, I work on my top funny things of the year. The George Carlin documentary is going to be #1. I can't imagine what will knock that off. But right now, Sam Morril in the 2 slot, which makes him the best special of the year so far. I highly encourage you watch it on Netflix. Cider agrees with me. They wrote stream it. They said there are 2 refreshing surprises. One, that a comedian can say the word canceling without trying to claim victimhood or cultural oppression. And 2, that an hour of stand-up really only needs to be about 45 minutes, just like the old school comedy club rules. I agree. What specials will it remind you of? Sean McCarthy for Decider wrote, with a raspy voice, an edgy attitude, and a penchant for punchlines, Morril falls somewhere between his contemporary Mark Normand and an idol such as Dave Attell. I'm glad that Sean wrote that because as I was watching it, I noticed noticed that Sam tags jokes the way Dave Attell does. For those not hip to the term, so a tag is after a proper punchline, you'll kind of throw in one more afterthought. That's a tag. And he really had an Attell feel to him. Also, thank goodness, all year, I've noticed people saying Sam Morril, and I had recently switched from Morril to Morril, but on this special, he's introduced as Sam Morril, so I'm going back to that, and if I ever meet Sam, I'm going to be like, how the F do you say your name? Because people have it all over the place. Whatever, Sam Morril on Netflix, you should watch it. The gang over at Ready Steady Cut saw Sheng Weng's new special on Netflix. I haven't had an opportunity yet. You know, there's Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones Dragon thing, and there's so much to watch, and now football's back, so Sheng Weng, I'll have to get to you. Ready Steady Cut writes, when Sheng Weng comes out, his delivery's a little dry, slightly monotone, and the first few jokes are just okay. You smirk, smile, or slight chuckle, but nothing hits a home run out of the gate. Huh. All right. Liz Miele has released a stand-up. It's called The Ghost of Academic Future. It's on YouTube. It came out yesterday. Who knew? So as you may have picked up, I usually record the day before, and in a neutral world, Tuesday would be a great day to bang out a lot of stuff because news comes out on Monday, and I usually have some free time on Tuesday, but my wife is off on Tuesday, and she likes to do the laundry, and you can't really be like, why do you do the laundry? Because that'll open up a, why don't you do the laundry? That said, I'm here in the basement studio, and she's got the laundry going, and I feel like I'm going to die of bleach poisoning. I can't even breathe. Every breath, I'm like, oh, I'm just inhaling bleach. No joke. I went to the garage and got a fan, and I have a fan blowing in the direction of the laundry room, but I got a headache here. This is torture. On the Facebook group, Tammy has joined us. Hi, Tammy. Tammy was talking about Dusty Slay's bit about It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere, the Jimmy Buffett, Alan Jackson song. Over the weekend, I found the entire bit and shared it in the Facebook group, which is Daily Comedy News Podcast Group, if you want to check it out. Tammy said Alan Jackson's not off with the lyric. It is noon, but it's truly possible that it is 5 o'clock somewhere. And then she linked to an article about time zones. There are indeed quirky time zones that are a half hour off. But explain to me, Tammy, is Jimmy Buffett in the bar, or is the Alan Jackson character hallucinating? Dusty Slay explains it well. Go to the Facebook group and watch that bit. It's about 9 minutes long, but it's really good. Tammy writes, thank you for putting this podcast together every day. My husband and I have been enjoying it for quite some time now. Tammy and husband, thank you so much for listening. Tiffany Haddish addressed her lawsuit. I talked about that on Saturday. It is quite icky. She took to social media early Monday and said, clearly, while the sketch through a pedophile's eyes was intended to be comedic, it wasn't funny at all, and I deeply regret having agreed to act in it. She added, unfortunately, because there's an ongoing legal case, there's very little that I can say right now. Also, in case you missed it on the holiday weekend, Rob Schneider had commented that SNL basically died when Kate McKinnon did the Hillary Clinton hallelujah thing. That didn't go over so well. Al Franken was on CNN. He said Rob Schneider's remarks were silly. People have been saying the show's over forever. I was one of the original writers. I remember after the first show, second season, I think Lily Tomlin was the host. It was a really good show. I go up to the 17th floor where we write the show and all that stuff, and the phone's ringing, and I, like an idiot, answer it, and someone says, well, the show's over. Saturday night is dead. We've been hearing that for 47 years, so no, it was a silly thing for Rob to say, I think. Alec Baldwin chimed in on Instagram, and he says, while he finds Rob Schneider very, very funny, you've got to be careful. When you criticize people for their judgment, you turn around and pause for a moment and realize, well, that judgment of theirs led them to hire you once upon a time. I hear these conservatives say there's a bias against them, and I think that's unfortunate. There's people that I know, and I won't name them, who are conservatives, who are arch-conservatives. Trump is the only president in our country's history who has served as president and was unchanged by the process. It must be tough for the Rob Schneiders of the world. It must be tough that your man is a maniac. Baldwin said he agreed with Schneider's criticism about his Trump impression. Alex said, I made him a cartoon. I wanted to take him to another level of madness. Baldwin then acknowledged not all SNL episodes may be good, which is the case with many pieces of work. SNL's a live TV show. It's not easy. I divide the episodes of SNL the way I divide everything else. You look at an actor's career, you look at a director's career, I divide them in thirds. A third of it is good, a third of it's so-so, and a third of it not very good. And a third of the episodes of SNL have been good, and a third of them so-so, and a third not so good. In a couple more years, they're going to be doing their 50th season, so they must be doing something right. Of course, I love Lorne. I love the institution that's SNL. I had a lot of fun with them. And 3 SNL stories in a row. Melissa Villasenor took to Twitter and talked about leaving the show. I felt this was my soul telling me it's time to spread my wings. Lots more for me to dig in and discover. What an honor to experience my kid dream. What an honor. Forever grateful. People ask me, what's next? What's next? I'm like, chill, man. I'm going to be proud for a while, travel, enjoy life, do more volunteer work, spend time with my family. From there, art blooms. That's your comedy news for today. Oh, wait. You hear this coffee? You probably can't because it doesn't really have ice in it. I was so annoyed this morning. I went to the National Donuts Sheng doing my usual coffee thing. They did the hot coffee over ice thing. You think I don't know? I know. I could tell the second I touched the cup, man. And I'll double down on that. I was in the living room and my daughter was like, what'd you get today? She knew it didn't look right. Come on, National Donuts chain. You want me to switch to those other guys with the green cups? I could do that, you know? Buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. See you tomorrow.